Hello, teacher. We're group number 2, and we're going to present you our learning activity number 5. In the basic aspects about methodology of the English teaching, we have first the method, which are kind of steps that are necessary to follow in order to reach a goal fulfillment. Then we have the methodology, which goes along with the method, and it's kind of ways in which all the activities necessary to teach a foreign language are organized. Additionally, we have the approach, which are theories about language. In this case, language is presented in the form of what is and how it can be learned by students. And then we have the design, which are the description of roles by teacher and students. And it also includes the contents, goals, and plannings. And last but not least, we have the procedure, which are the way of doing things. In this case, are the ways that the learning and the language is presented. And these are related with the approaches that were chosen.
Okay, I am going to talk about basic aspect about first and second language acquisition theories. We can find some definition like a language. It's used as a means of communication that serves to establish relationships among people, family, friends, etc. Also, it's used only by a person for interacting, and finally, it's used to transmit a specific culture about their life. Learning is the acquired knowledge by studying of experience. It's this conscious process that takes place inside of the human beings by means of intensive repetition in order to get an understanding of new facts. Also could change behavior in the people. Teaching. It is a process that causes people to learn something when they are growing. It's a systematic process that is used by the teacher to facilitate students in any sort of learning. Finally, behavioristic theories. We can find that is when the children might get something syntax patterns based on the stimulus response fact are supported by imitation to learn something. For example, we learn by the needs we have to survive. That's all.
I am going to talk about generative theories. Nativist approach. Humans come with a set of knowledge in their brains to organize and use the grammatical universal. And cognitive approach. Single normal children are born with a knowledge based and develop it as they become involved in the environment. And theories of second language acquisition. Classical behaviors. People learn another language by receiving a stimulus and giving a response. Then we have no behaviors. The human learning takes place with presence of reinforces that given by other people when a person has done something. And cognitive learning. You're looking for meaningful learning by doing exercise in which you use the language you want to learn. And humanistic psychology. Focus on the learning or on the learner and why they want to learn and how they learn by identifying their advantage and disadvantage in learning the target language. That is all.
Okay. And now I talk about the theories of language acquisitions in relation to the beginning reading instructions. First, the language acquisition. In this, the theories are also reviewed from the perspective of the linguistic knowledge able today. Consequently, certain cognitive and affective factors are missing, and these factors are not to be considered important in begin on begin reading instruction. They are to be considered beyond the scope of this paper. Now, the nativist theory, Danger Birch in 1967 proposed the theory of language acquisitions, heavily buttressed by geological evidence from study of normal language development in children and of abnormal language development. Brought about congenially as in nanosebasic and geoframes or environmentally as in the brain demandage or a phrase.
Now I'm going to talk about the behavioristic theories and cognitive theories. One theory of language acquisition that fits the behaviorist mold comes from brain, which involves the principle of contextual generalization, where the child observes that certain sets of items occur in certain positions. He makes generalizations about the positions rather than about the sets of items that occupy them. Consequently, this theory attempts to explain how the child acquires the hierarchical grammatical structures of sentences, where brain claims that transformations can be learned throughout contextual generalization. On the other hand, Slovin opposes brain's proposal, who argues that there are no dominant word order patterns for the child to generalize even in a language like English, and that word ordering also occurs during language acquisition when the language has a free word order. And cognitive theories, Slovin considers language acquisition as an active process in which certain capacities of the child are developed. One of these is the cognitive ability to cope with the world. The second is the mental capacity to retain, store, and process items in short and long-term memory. These control the rate of acquisition. Others are also important, such as the ability to segment utterance into sounds and meanings, and then combine and recombine these segments, the ability to isolate units of meaning, and the ability to make broad generalizations before attempting to accommodate exceptions. Thank you.